My name is
Yes.
Najjuko.
Okay.
I am the host of Vital Conversations, and today we have the absolute pleasure of introducing you to our podcast. Our podcast is basically a platform where we would like to give information that a lot of people may not necessarily know about people who are in the industry of health and wellness, healthcare. So if you don't mind, I will just dive right into the questions and let's take it from there.
Sure. Looking forward.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How do you fit into the industries that I've mentioned? And we can take it from there.
Sure. So I would like to introduce myself as a psychologist. So when you talk about well-being and mental health, I think I fit into this industry, being a psychologist for over 8 years now, and have been a part of this industry, both in the clinical setup and also in the workplace and the corporate setup. And I'm also a professional dancer. Along with being a psychologist.
I didn't see that coming.
Okay, that was new.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I'm also a certified movement therapy practitioner. So I also bring a lot of movements. My work also cater using movement as a medium of language when we, help our clients to deal or heal with certain circumstances or certain difficult situations in any sector of life that they're dealing with. And currently, I'm, also a very expert in digital mental health because, as we know, with the current situation, sometimes because lack of proximity, our busy schedules. So I think digital mental health is something which is really helping people in any corner of the world to get connected and to make sure that their mental health and their mental well-being is more accessible and is taken care of.
Oh, that's fantastic. I never would have thought to have phrased it as digital mental health. I'm obviously assuming digital allows you obviously to reach the masses and they don't feel that they have to be in person with the person, but still receive the quality of the care.
Correct. Absolutely.
So what sparked your interest into mental health and dance movement therapy?
Great. Thank you so much for asking this question. So I think growing up as a child, because, when we grow up as a child, we have so many professions that keeps coming to our mind that growing up, I'll become this or maybe this. It just keeps changing year after the other. So I think it was in my plus 12 when I was doing, after my class 10, when I was taking psychology as one of the subjects, it really struck me that, there are so many people who is struggling with a lot of emotional disturbances, a lot of, I would say, mental health issue, but it is somewhere not getting that much of attention, or people still struggle to, portray themselves as a someone who might be experiencing weaker emotions. Again, when we talk about emotions, it's a spectrum of emotions, right? When we look into the spectrum of emotions, everything is emotions, but somehow we are inbuilt to see happy emotions as a strong emotion and little difficult emotions as a weaker emotion, but it's nothing weak or strong. It's just emotions. So that really stuck me because growing up, I also saw peers, my friends struggling and in the society. So that really stuck me that this is something I want to do for the mask. To normalize mental health, how much ever I can. Growing up as a practitioner, I would definitely want to contribute to this field. And along with being a profession, when you see someone coming to you, like, for example, a client coming to me after X number of sessions and saying, I'm able to smile now, this is feeling a little better. So I think that's something which is so heartwarming. It's not just what you're doing professionally, but I feel touching lives of people in your own ways. I think that really attracted me towards this field. And I am a dancer. My mom is a dancer, so I have grown up in an environment where dance has been, part of our daily routines.
Yes,
And movement is such a strong language,
yes,
right? Like if
yes,
you see when a baby is born, it's the movement. The first language that we learn, maybe all of us, is movement.
yes,
At
true.
that time, we do not speak. We move things, our body, to make the caregiver understand that there is a need that needs to be fulfilled, right?
Mhm.
But when we grew up somewhere, that movement loses and it becomes very goal oriented. The authentic movement as a language somewhere dies. So, being a dancer, I wanted to see how psychology and movement can be blended because so much of work has been done in the past. So I wanted to explore that field, and that's how I went into movement therapy and start exploring it.
Okay, okay, that's absolutely fantastic. What's something most people might not know about mental health in the workplace? Because obviously we live in a city like Dubai, and
Correct.
well, obviously if you don't have a job, then technically you can't be here. But at the same time, your job consumes the majority of your entire day. So what do you think
Mhm.
people don't know about this mental health in the workplace?
Sure. It's a very, useful question that you have put in a way, which is, I agree to the core that Dubai is a city where there is no work, you cannot survive.
Yes, of
But at
course.
the same time, you have an absolutely amazing job. But there is also a struggle because, you're affected in different ways by that job.
Yes.
So I think what people, I'm sure all of us are aware, but what people don't give a lot of attention is to balance workplace, right? Because if you see the place where you work is something that's helping you to take care of your life, your family, and that's also bringing a sense of identity to who you are,
Mhm.
right? So we tend to make that work a lot of priority in our life. But in that course, somewhere we forget about self care,
Mhm.
we forget about burnout,
Mhm.
we forget about appreciating, and we look for a lot of validation in the workplace.
Mhm.
And when that validation is not received, there is a lot of self blaming, self guilt, questioning your self esteem. Am I good enough?
Mhm.
Am I doing enough? Things
Mhm.
like that.
Yes.
So I think work absolutely is important, but to balance work and your personal life and your self care is equally important. In my journey, I have seen where people say when we talk about self care in workplace, or when we talk to them about how has been your work life balance, what you do on your week offs, or how do you balance it, they said if we have time, we'll do it
Right.
for self-care. So
Yeah.
it's more like if I have time, I will do self-care.
Not a
It's
priority,
not,
by the way.
no, correct. It's not a priority. It's not something which is there in my daily routine.
Yes, yes.
If I'm left out with everything, then maybe I can think about something I like doing, right? I'm sure we all have done it, but that's so important because if you are not connected and content, how do you produce productivity at workplace?
Yes,
If you are not happy and you're just going because you have to go, and there are thoughts, oh, again that work, again that place, same routine, I'm so drained. Do we really are producing the best in that mental health?
Mhm.
Absolutely not. But if you're energized, refreshed, and you feel zeal about that work, I think then you're absolutely giving your best. And also, toxicity at workplace matters a lot.
Yes, that's very true.
The workplace culture environment, because there are many people who's paying very well at your job, but if you don't feel belonged, if you don't feel the culture is supporting you, if you don't feel you're valued, that paycheck will not help you in
Nothing.
producing what
Yes,
you're supposed. It's nothing, because every day you have to struggle to go to that place that you feel absolutely you don't feel belonged at.
yes,
So I think it's very important, it's high time we all should focus on our employees mental health, for them to feel heard, belong, and create a very holistic, accepting workplace environment so that they feel we're not just employed, it's our second family, we belong, we want to contribute. Because if it's like, because there are deadlines and I can be sued, that's why I'm performing, then I don't think productivity
Yes.
is at their best.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yeah.
If you feel it's within, it's something I want to give to my company because I'm valued here, I'm loved here, I'm heard here, I think that's when best productivity come. And again, point I want to raise here is about workplace bullying. We see that there has been, incidents of workplace bullying. And again, it's not just the women, because we have policies like POSH for female employees, I'm sure you're aware of. But there are times where male has also been bullied at a workplace. And I feel male bullying is something we don't often talk about. More stress is given on female bullying. Of course, that's an important part, and there are policies to it.
Yes. Yes.
But for male, there are. So it's in the limelight, we take care of it, and we strictly have policies. But there are times where male is also being bullied. So I think bullying is something, if it comes to the notice, a very strict action needs to be taken. Because, if you have this fear of, if I go there today also I'll be bullied, I think that fear will create a lot of anxiety,
Yes.
stress,
Yes.
and it will start affecting your self-esteem.
And compromise your work. I mean, at the end of the day, you won't be able to
Absolutely.
produce what you know you can because your mind is not in the right place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then there will be constant validation that you look for.
Yes.
Someone comes and tell you, you're doing great. Only then you feel like, okay, he or she said
Something.
I'm
Yeah.
doing great. Yes. So, I always feel that, of course, external validation or appreciation we all like, but we also have to learn to appreciate ourselves.
Yes.
Because many a times you might be doing a great job, but someone might not appreciate you. Even if they feel, they may not, it might slip off.
Yes.
But when you start appreciating yourself and you start telling yourself that, wow, this is something you really did great, I think then the dependency on others to feel who you are, it decreases, and it helps to feel connected to your inner self. So that's what I feel.
How do you usually unwind or at least de-stress after a busy day at work? Especially for somebody who understood that mental health is important.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would like to share a, story here, like a struggle here. Like when you are a psychologist, right? Sometimes people around you forget that you're also a human, then psychologist. Yeah, because that's your profession. That's not something you're born with, right? You choose that to be a profession. And sometimes they feel like I have got statements like, very, of course, as a joke, nothing serious, that, you are a psychologist, what problems you will have, you will know to deal it. But no, we also have our own share of struggle. And I feel for us, it's so important to have a self-care routine, because we hear people who, of course, come to us with a baggage, a hard time, a vent out, or something which is disturbing. And when you hear that for like 7, 6, 8 hours a day, unknowingly, you get a lot of material transferred to your body.
Yes, it's energy at the end of the day.
It's energy, because sometimes after a very busy, hectic day, you get pains here, and you just, because it's the energy, the body captures a lot of emotions of people, even if you detach. And after the session, of course, you don't think, that's what you train, that you cannot get attached to any client's, sharings, but it does get to you. So I feel for me, I have involved myself to some kind of self-care routine, as to I like a lot of soothing smell when I come home to create an environment. Candles help me a lot, because I need some dim light, or some self-care, some pampering that I do to myself, like maybe a very nice bath. And the aroma helps me to unwind a lot of things. And of course, some kind of meditation, I think, is highly, highly important. And it does help me when you give some time to yourself, and you do your little bit of meditation practices. And the best thing that helps me is because I'm a dancer. So dancing is something I'm lucky and I'm fortunate that I can dance it out. Not every day, but days when I feel it's crazy. So,
Yes.
it just takes you into a
Other
different
world.
zone, to another world altogether. And I also feel to have a very good, close circle, your inner circle with whom you can just, pick up the phone and talk anything and everything and just, have a very light conversation after work.
Yes.
I think that really helps me. And driving is something, it really helps me
Oh,
going
wow.
drive alone.
As in
Just
like
put the
without,
music.
without real direction, just music and go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without real direction. I don't know where I am heading, but I'm just heading somewhere. And
Okay.
at that moment, I don't want another person. Then it's not self-care, because then you have to talk. Because after, 7 hours of talking for some time, after I come back home, I don't want to talk because I need some, de-stressing
Yes.
time for
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
And I think, yeah, so this is something which has really helped me. So I believe every therapist should have their own self-care routine, because you know why? Self-care routines are very subjective and very personalized.
Yes. Yes.
We have a bunch of routines, right? But I cannot say, even to my clients, I say these are few examples that you can pick up from, that you feel you relate the most.
Yes, true, true,
Or
true.
you can even come up with new things to tell me that, Aarhie, this is something is self-care for me. And that's absolutely perfect. As long as you feel you're taking care of yourself, you are showing that care and love and attention to yourself, and it's helping you, any self-care is amazing. That's what I feel. It's a personalized and subjective in nature. So, yeah.
So what role do you think mental health awareness plays in creating healthier workplace environments?
So I feel mental health awareness places a very, very vital role, because I feel workplace and mental health is something which goes hand in hand. Because if your mental well-being is not in place, you cannot function. You cannot, because nowadays the nature of work is very cognitive. We use a lot of
Brain.
cognition into the kind of brain work, correct? Because physically we are sitting in one place, right?
Yes.
There's not much of a physical activity in 80% of the jobs, provided your profession demands a lot of physical activity, which is, I feel, very rare, specific to professions that you choose. But if you see the 80% of the mass, it's more a sitting role.
Yes.
And there your brain work, your cognition is very important. So if mental health is not spoken about, not taken care about, is not something that you run your awareness and you promote and encourage your people. So I feel then, employee cannot give their best if the mental health at workplace is not taken care of.
Okay.
So it's very important for every organization to promote mental health, because mental health already have a certain taboo. It's already a struggle for people to say that I'm having a very stressful day versus I'm having fever.
Okay.
That's something which is easy for us to say that, I'm having fever, I'm having an upset stomach, but I'm having a personal issue and I'm
I
feeling
think
depressed for so.
we don't even feel judged. Like if we highlight an illness, it
Correct.
seems normal. But
Yes.
the moment you highlight
Correct.
that potentially it's something with a mental connection, you almost feel like someone
Correct.
judge you about this.
Yes, it's about, first thing is you're not ready to express.
Yes.
So there's so much of pent up, because there's so much of question. What will the colleague think? Will they judge me? Will they feel I'm weak? There are a lot of question marks, which stops you from expressing what you really feel. So first thing, to normalize mental health at workplace is the first goal, because straight away, if you come and say that, you should start talking, they will not. First, you have to normalize. So I feel awareness is first, only then they will start coming to you. You cannot straight away expect someone to come. Because, stress, deadlines, toxic environment, difficult managers, difficult boss, burnouts, these are all creating a lot of heaviness in your mental health.
Mhm.
So every organization having someone, a wellness coach or a peer circle where you sit and talk. So in peer circle, I feel it's very helpful, because when you sit and talk with that peers, they will have similar stressors in
Mhm.
life. Then you feel that, oh, I'm not alone. This is not
Yes,
you
that's true.
thing. This is not, it's not out of the box to feel how I'm feeling. There
Yes,
are
yes.
many other people who saying that is a healing process,
Mhm.
right? And when you're allowing yourself to do that, half of the thing is taken care of,
True, true.
because you have allowed things to come out of your system. Because I always believe, puke it
Yes,
out of your system. It will help you to release. The more you gulp, 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 you'll blast one day, and that's not
that's true. That's
healthy. So awareness, having a wellness coach, having some recreational activity in their schedules of work, giving them the authority and liberty to have open communication without any fear of judgment, without any fear of, will I be stopped if I say, without any kind of fear. When you allow your employees to talk and express themselves and you validate their emotions, I think that's when productivity, your, you know, absenteeism rate from any organization will come down.
true.
Because if there is, difficulty with mental health, and you're stressed and you're burnout, there's anxiety, there is sleep issues, you will not come. There will be days you see that frequent leaves has been taken from an employee,
Yes, very true.
because the body and mind gives up.
Mhm.
But if an organization have all these things, I think ultimately it creates a lot of high benefit for their work, for the outcome that organization is looking to see from each and every employee. So I think it's something in today's world which we cannot say that, let's not bring mental health to the first league. We'll see if there is time, we'll do. No, I think if there is
Quite
work, there is
correctly.
mental health.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
is two parallel things which has to go together, and especially in today's world, we absolutely have to give. It's no longer a niche thing. It's a necessity. I feel it's no longer, mental health is not niche anymore. I think it's necessity for each and every individual.
Do you feel that it's a necessity now more so because of the pandemic? Like, because I feel like after the pandemic, it might have been an existing phenomenon, but maybe not
Hmm.
one that was well recognized to cause as much awareness as it has now. But now that COVID has happened, and we've all either had to work remotely or managed to be in certain segments, I think after the pandemic, all of a sudden mental health seems to be, it almost seems like a marketing gimmick at the end of the day. But people don't really understand that it actually, in terms of the pandemic, it actually caused a real genuine problem for people. So do you feel that there is a connection? And please do elaborate on your thoughts on that.
Sure, I think that's a perfect thing that you have expressed, and I totally agree. Mental health has been a concern, and it was always important, but rightly said by you, pandemic has escalated it to a level where people have started to pick up mental health.
Mhm.
Because in pandemic, if you think, it was a crisis the whole world witnesses together. It was not something only one part of the world saw, the others did not. And that fear of uncertainty, in over one night, life switched. People were not allowed to go out of the house, work from home. We lost loved ones. There was no food. There was crisis that we all went through. And that time, I think mental health, no one individual can say that I was not hit by any kind of stress or mental
Mhm.
health issue. Maybe the intensity was less or low, for
Yes, yes.
someone more, someone low, someone average, but we all have been victims of mental health at that point of time. First question is uncertainty. I feel uh, we lost that thing from life, that, overnight anything can happen. We can lose people, we can lose job. So many things can happen. So what are we struggling for in life?
Mhm.
The basics are threatened right now, and we are struggling for other things, whereas basic needs is a struggle right now for us to cater to
Mhm.
during that point of time. And I also feel that at that point of time, because we got so much of time to stay with family, so many people also started to practice gratitude more from COVID.
Yes.
The gratitude of just being existing, just being alive.
Yes. Yes.
Because as individual, there is a lot of greed in human being. As a human being, we have a lot of greeds for this, for that, and there is, that's a very inbuilt in human being.
Mhm.
But I think that COVID times or pandemic times also made us realize that we need to be grateful that we are breathing today, and that's something I think we have come to that togetherness in COVID times. And also, like you said, uh, in COVID times, pandemic times, mental health has been a marketing strategy, and that's also very alarming. One, of course, it has helped to create awareness. People take it more, companies take it more, people realize it more, because in COVID, you will not trust, the workload for us was the maximum. We had no time to breathe because the amount of sessions, online session, digital mental health boomed up. We were never with the concept that, video counseling, telecounseling, chat counseling works. We were always one on one.
Yes.
We had our own struggles, but now video counseling, I think we have become used to it because COVID taught us that no, there is something digital to mental health. Before that, if you see, where was digital for mental health? It was
Yes.
very limited,
Mm.
right? COVID introduced this. I
Mhm.
think we got used to this video call. First, it was struggle for us as psychologists. Like in video call, we are so used to one-on-one. We need to see the person, touch, feel the presence of the
Yes.
person.
Yes.
So that got boomed, and that is something we realized that no, we can touch lives across digital platforms also.
Mhm.
So that is a good thing. Of course, conventional one-on-one counseling has its own perks, and it will always continue to.
Yes. Yes.
But even if it's not there, mental health doesn't stop. It can go.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's something we learned. So our workload was very high during that time because people were struggling with so much of uncertainty, questions. There were struggles with family because nowadays we have become so individualistic, staying again with parents, staying with husband, wife 24/7, staying with children 24/7 was a struggle.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have
There was no
seen
break.
yeah, that, oh my God, this is like too much of us every time. Where is me, right? Because we were not used to it, right? Everything, work-life boundaries, I would say work from home also made things very tough because your work was home, home was work. There was no boundaries. At 12 also you're working, at work hours also working, you're eating
Yes.
and working. So everything was blurry. There
Yes.
was no life. It was more like work-life balance was absolutely at zero.
Yes.
So
Yes.
people felt, and your manager could tell you that, please attend to this mail at any point of the day because you're working from home, right?
Yes. Exactly.
So, there
Exactly.
was the thing came. So I think that was getting too much for people after a point of time. Initially, they enjoyed first 3 months. Oh, don't know office. We can chill at home and work. That
Mhm.
was very good. But then 6 months, a year, then they were like, we want to go to office. We
Yes.
need that boundary.
Yes.
And also, I'm sure, just put your thoughts. When we dress up and we go and we see colleagues, there is socialization, we like working, right? Because with work from home, there is no colleagues, there is no dress up, nothing. You're just waking and
Nothing to look excited.
opening your laptop.
Nothing to be
Yeah,
excited about.
nothing. It was all virtual, I think. So that took, and coming back to our point, we saw a lot of mental health promoters, we saw a lot of counselors, and that was alarming because doing a course of 3 months and you're claiming yourself to be counselor and you're giving advices, that was very alarming
Yes.
because, we believe as this community that no therapy is better than wrong therapy.
Yes. That's true. That's true.
If you don't get help, that's fine. You will find your way. But if you get wrong help, it can really, mess up
Yes,
your
it will
system.
damage a person permanently, for a long.
Permanently. Yes, yes. And like you said, it became like a marketing strategy. It was like a, something very cool that, people
Yes, yes.
started talking about, and that was the trend.
Mhm.
And also, I feel that when we use words, like I hear in my circle also many a times people say, "Oh, I'm depressed." I always say that, are you really? Because depressed, to be saying that I'm depressed, or I'm, first of all, you are not depressed.
Mm.
You are going through depression. How can you be depressed?
Mm, mm, mm.
Right? It's labeling. When I say I'm depressed, it's you're labeling yourself.
Yes, yes.
It's, it's something you're going through, which you'll overcome. And first of all, to say that I'm depressed or I'm going through depression, how do you know? Are you diagnosed? Depression is a clinical condition.
That's actually a very interesting statement that you make. Could you, because we are definitely, this is not the last, we're going to have a part two because
Sure.
I genuinely feel that the topic on mental health is mind-blowing. But in just what you said, can you please explain what the definition of I'm depressed and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through depression, like, and in terms of, I don't know if the right word to use is survival, but in terms
Yes.
of recovery,
Mm-hmm.
which person is more likely to get a faster recovery in terms of being fully depressed? And I'm assuming when you say fully depressed, it means clinical, and then going through depression, which means it's just emotions in movement, which means at some point they will come out of that particular phase. Could you explain what that means?
Sure, sure. So let me just set the context for you also to understand it better. First of all, when I said it's labeling, there is nothing called I'm depressed, because if you are not diagnosed with depression, you are not depressed. You can say, I am extremely sad, I'm in a melancholy. That's not depression.
Okay. Okay.
If you're depression, you have struggles to do even daily functioning.
Okay.
If you're doing your daily functioning, that means you're extremely sad, you're in melancholy. But without a diagnosis, how do you say I am depressed?
Mm.
Again, it's had become a lingo that people say, I'm very depressed.
Yes, 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 yes.
But people have to say, I'm very, very sad, which makes sense. But how do you know you're depressed or not? Then how are you going to office? How are you eating? How are you socializing? How are you pulling yourself? Because if you are clinically depressed,
You
you
can.
cannot do all this that you're doing right now.
And I think
Right? And some,
labeling yourself as depressed
yes,
does not necessarily help in
no,
the road to depression, because you're basically
no,
calling a negative
correct.
something on yourself to eventually lead to that direction.
Correct, absolutely. And then coming to your point, when we talk about depression, for example, you are diagnosed today, or I am diagnosed, right? So there are three categories. Are you low? Is it moderate? Is it severe? Right?
Mhm.
So the question that you were saying, that if someone is severe, chances of coming out is
Okay.
low. On
Okay.
that question, I'm saying, so it depends. Today I can be diagnosed, but the clinician says that, yeah, but you are low, on a low level of depression, or you are on a moderate level. So people who are diagnosed with low or moderate, it's relatively easier to bring them back. But if this has been going through years and you were struggling with sleep, with eating, with going out, and you never addressed it, and you have gone to a level which is severity is highest, you are highly depressed, you are highly severe on your depression, then it takes some time.
Okay. Okay.
And that's when people become suicidal, or they have thoughts of ending their life.
Mhm.
Because depression and suicide cases are linked.
Okay.
So that's the severity, the severe cases of diagnosed as someone who's going through depression and unattended depression. If your depression was not attended, it will lead to suicide. So it's very important that whenever you're feeling it's off, I'm not eating well for 3 weeks. I don't feel like meeting people. The movies I used to enjoy, I'm not enjoying.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's when it's alarming for you to say that, okay, something is off. It's
Okay.
not normal sadness.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you should step into a clinician to get it checked.
Okay.
Because the earlier you go, you come out of the,
Yes, that's true. That's
trap sooner.
mm-hmm.
So that's how it works.
Well, Ari, I swear I could sit with you here the entire day. But we've run out of time just for today. I definitely want to tell you that we'll definitely invite you for a second session, because I
Sure.
really want to get deeper into delving on mental health itself. Because it's very good that you've expressed how you need to understand if you are really in that state or not, or you need to understand what actual mental health means in order to be able to address it. So I want to say thank you so much for your wealth of information today. And I hope you're very excited to join us on Vital Conversations for part 2 with you.
Thank you so much. And it was an amazing time. Like you said, even I could have sat with you for longer hours. But thank you so much for, inviting me to this amazing platform and the great work you guys are doing. And I'm definitely looking forward for part 2.
Perfect. Thank you so much and have a beautiful evening.